What is God's plan? Genesis 1:26. It said, and God said, every time I read this scripture, I've read this scripture too many times. It humbles me at the majesty of God. It humbles me. You know, when I read this scripture, it looks to me like a studio of some sort where creation takes place. You know, one of the offices of God is as creator. Only God sits there. No matter how powerful, no matter how wise you are, at best you can be an inventor or a farmer. That means you need raw material to produce. The only one who doesn't depend on any raw material to produce anything is God. He's the only one who occupies that office. He can bring something out of nothing. It's one of the offices of God. God is also the only life giver. The only one who can give life is God. Only God. So when you see species replicating, the origin of that life that is introduced to create that species comes from only one being. He's called God. Only him sits there. So this scripture reveals many things to us. It doesn't just reveal God as creator. Imagine what was going on here. Earth was destroyed. God recreated the earth. And he looked at the earth and he saw that some things were lacking. And he wanted to bring something from nothing into the earth. But for him to do that, he had to go into his office. Angels may peep. There are certain curriculums that cannot be revealed, because those are the things who makes him who he is. So he withdrew to himself, and God was deliberating. Imagine the mystery that surrounds this being. How can one person be deliberating? And then one person is talking, he said, let us. That means you are one, but you are we. He said, let us make man. Let us create another entity. Because earth, there's a gap, there's a vacuum. Let's replace the vacuum so that we can bring balance to creation. Let us make man. But this time around, we are going to make him not after any other thing but ourselves. Because the first attempt of God trying to make himself known was through human vessel. The first attempt of God trying to make himself known was when he created man. Because you'll be shocked that the angels, why do you think they call him holy? Holy means you are in your own class. You are separated unto your own name. There's none like you. You will discover as you read the Bible that it's as man was created that different definitions of who God is started coming on the scene. You will never find all of those syllables in the angelic order. They just knew that this being is a superior being. They couldn't even look at him. When he shows up, they fall to the ground. The first time God wanted to be known, if you would say study God, the first time God made himself available to be studied was when he created man. Because only here did he say, let us make a being that can reflect our total dimension. Now, if you study this scripture, you discover that the holistic essence of God was trapped in the creation of man. He didn't say, let us make man like the Spirit. He didn't say, let us make man like the Word. He didn't say, let us make man like the Father. Let's aggregate the reality of Father, Son, and Spirit together and form a creation that resembles them. Let us make man in our own image. So if you study God's plan was for himself to be known and for himself to be manifested through human vessel. So anybody who calls himself a man, who does not reveal God, does not know the meaning of a man. Because the reason man was created was to host God and to reveal God. Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. And by revealing our image and likeness, he said they will have dominion. So dominion is a byproduct of the image and the likeness of God. If you are able to host God and manifest God, you will be a creature of dominion. Because that is who man is. If you study Psalm 8 verse 4, it looks as if there was a deliberation in the spirit realm. And the psalmist asked the question. He didn't say, who is man? He said, what is man that thou art mindful of him? And when I teach this, I say it humorously. In the angelic order, it is high rank to stand in God's presence. When Gabriel showed up and was talking to Zechariah, a fallen man who was no longer a prince in Zion, he told him, I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God. If you go to the heavens, not every angel is able to approach the presence. It's a secluded place. In fact, the higher your rank in the spirit, the closer you are to the presence. The closer you are to the throne room. Because it's a matter of rank for the angelic entities. But the angels were wondering, why we are struggling to come before you? Who is that being that you hid in the garden that you are living here to go to? So the angels are traveling to God's presence, and God is traveling to meet man. The Bible said in Genesis 3:8, in the cool of the day, the voice of God came walking in the garden. So while angels are walking into God's presence, God is walking into man's presence. So that triggered a conversation in the spirit. So in Psalm 8 verse 4, wise men were deliberating, and so David asked the question. He said, what is man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou did visit him? Everybody's goal is to visit you. Why are you visiting man? What is this being? You see, we have not discovered who we are in God, and that's why I told you one of the purpose of the gospel is to help you find yourself in God. You think what they told you on your job is who you are. Your boss looks at you and says you are good for nothing, and then you are crying. Not a man who knows who he is. Me cry because you say I'm good for nothing. You don't know me. If you know me, you'll be honored to relate with me. They look at you and they say you are fired, and then some people go to commit suicide. I've lost my job, they fired me. You can't fire some of us. If you write a sack letter, you have lost someone. And if you think it's a joke, watch in 3 months, watch in 6 months, I will become bigger than that company. I'm trying to tell you who we are. Somebody looks at you and says, I'm no longer interested in you, this relationship is over, and then you go into depression. Me go into depression? How can I go into depression? You just lost a gem. You just lost a pair. You don't know who you are dealing with. It's the one God is mindful of. It's the one God visits that you just walked away from. I carry God's presence.